So what is that aspiration within the Environment Agency around carbon?
So the Environment Agency's made quite a significant journey over the last 9 years in terms of saving carbon, meeting our targets, and we've done very well from it. But what we're actually looking at now is in terms of setting our benchmark slightly higher. So not only are we looking at our direct impact, we are looking at the impact that our supply chain has. And this forms a lot of the basis of our emissions target plan, which basically sets out our targets for the next 4 years. So very much construction carbon is 40%, operational 45%, also an additional supply chain reduction by 20%, on top of the water, waste, fleet and risk and total travel that we have. So this is actually quite an ambitious target for ourselves when you consider our capital carbon was only 10%. We're now looking at 40% over the next 4 years, but we truly believe that we can actually achieve that. And we are on a similar journey to Anglian Water in terms of where they were perhaps 10 years ago. So what we've got in terms of carbon is actually we've implemented, and it was live in terms of mandatory use as of April this year, is our carbon planning tool. And it's very much a tool which allows teams to look at the whole life carbon on a project in terms of capital and operational, look at it early doors in terms of their options appraisal using the modelling tool to understand which options taken forward have the lowest carbon solution. And that forms a baseline in terms of our measurement on a project level, so where our 40% starts from. The other side of it is, in terms of our capital carbon calculator, is we want that information to go out to the supply chain. So we're intended to include that within our tenders, so it goes out to the tier 1s and should be passed down to the tier 2 and 3 suppliers, because everybody in that value chain has the opportunity to reduce the carbon on a project level. We're also looking at in terms of the final carbon calculator actually being used to feed the front end. So we're all continually improving in terms of that source data that we have. So as I've said, its use is mandatory. So if you're a current supplier in terms of the Water Environment Management Framework, you have to use this. It's not, I'll use it if it's the right cost level. We used to have a de minimis of 250,000. If you are going to be on our micro or minor work frameworks over the next 12 months as we renew them, the carbon planning tool is there to be used. We are also applying it to our in-house projects in terms of our own construction. So whereas before it was only ever focused on our capital projects, it's now very much across the business. The other side of it is, it's not just about reporting the data in terms of the carbon, looking at your options at the beginning, setting your baseline, and then reporting the figures at the end. It's about reporting as to why teams are making decisions. So what we ask is, in terms of when they look at their preferred option carbon calculator, we want them to also complete a optimization report. And that's to look at the key carbon drivers for the solution, steps that are being taken to move that project forward in terms of a low carbon solution. And also at the end, we're asking for a final carbon report which says actually what they put in place. And the reason we have this is obviously because data will tell you one thing, but we want to understand the decisions that teams are making or why they're not making those decisions in terms of implementing low carbon solutions. So we can address the way we procure our work, how we put our contracts together to actually have that continued improvement.
So we've heard also this morning about PAS 2080.
Yes.
Have you had a chance to consider PAS 2080 in terms of you as an organisation? And what are your expectations on your supply chain?
So in terms of PAS 2080, we are currently reviewing in terms of how the standard fits in with what we've got at the moment. So in terms of us setting a baseline, we're working through it at the moment, having clear targets, we've got those in place, having the leadership to say you have to promote low carbon on projects, and we are really working that through the organisation from the top down. But fundamentally for us, our carbon planning tool plays a big part of how we see ourselves aligning to PAS 2080. So for our supply chain, it's very much, if you use it, we believe it will also help you tick the boxes as well. The other side of it is, as an organisation, we are obviously transitioning into the updated ISO 14001 and 9001, and we look to be accredited, re-accredited by March 17. So all the things in there in terms of environmental systems and leadership also aligns in terms of PAS 2080 as well. So we're probably not at a stage to be able to say we are fully compliant. And the reason for that is we are rolling out the carbon tool across the organisation, whereas before it's only been looked at one particular area. And also it's been pushing it into the supply chain as well. And as it gets renewed into new frameworks, we believe that will make us a stronger and more mature organisation.
Sure, and given that there are organisations in the audience right now that possibly, and forgive me, because we may even just have a show of hands, who at the moment is part of the Environment Agency's supply chain? Who's providing services? Can I just see, there's how many hands? There's a few in the front, okay. Is there the opportunity to consult and enter into a dialogue with those to actually demonstrate where that alignment is with PAS 2080? So, because I mean, from my perspective, you hear quite often, you know, the complaint, well, you know, one organisation is doing that, another's doing this. You know, we need some harmonisation. That's what PAS 2080 is trying to do.
Yes.
But just, you know, some of these organisations may well need a little bit of guidance or a little bit of incentive in a sense. So is there, you know, in the behaviours of what you want from the supply chain and how you are also going to conduct yourselves, what's the opportunity?
So I think in terms of the opportunities, we're perhaps being a bit more open. So what we're saying to the supply chain is come and tell us about your products, because what we don't want to be is in a position whereby we are actually delivering a project, everybody's under pressure in terms of delivering it to time and to cost, and then we're trying to come up with an innovative solution which is low carbon as well, which is not always the right time to do it. So what we're trying to say is actually come and speak to us earlier. So one of the things that we have been working on is obviously we've implemented chem-free concrete in one of our projects. It's been very much a success, but we've also taken that a step further. So it's already been approved by our engineering panel for certain applications on other projects. So, and that's because it's been trialled on one. So we're trying to say, let's have a look at the other stuff that we know we're doing and share the knowledge. But also, if there are other things out there in the market that we should be looking at, let's take the time to look at it up front, decide that whether we're not going to use it or whether we are, and add it to the calculator so people are sort of primed early on to say, actually, here, this is another option available to me. So rather than thinking retrospectively, okay, I've got to come up with the ideas when you're already in design or construction, we're trying to be a bit more proactive up front. So our supply chain in terms of behaviour is come and speak to us.
Okay, great. So there's an invite there for all of you who are already supplying or want to in the future. And finally, Kat, I'm just we talked about BIM as well as a solution, and we've seen how BIM and the carbon agenda fit together quite nicely. Where are you? Because you're implementing BIM level 2. How, from your perspective, is carbon and BIM 2 aligned?
Okay, so in simple terms for the Environment Agency, BIM is about intelligent information to be able to make informed decisions. So we very much see our carbon planning tool and the information that we are getting in from our projects and from other projects and services is using it in a informed way at the beginning of projects to make good decisions to do with low carbon. It's important for the agency that we implement BIM level 2 across all our major projects, but also receive trusted and valued data to be able to give us a good foundation for level 3 as well. So the other thing that we're working on is information delivery plans and also product data templates. So we understand that the flow of information, no matter what our asset is and what stage it is, we can say what the commitment is in terms of that specification, the cost, the carbon, and the operation requirement. So we've actually done some work internally whereby we're aligning a lot of our systems. So something very simple as an asset type, no matter what project you're on, or whether it's part of an operational element, sometimes the definition has been slightly different. So we've done some work to align that across the business. So within the FCRM community, within the operations, within the carbon calculator, and also our project cost tool, all those are saying the same things. So we can track and close that loop. And that's a very simple thing that we've done. The other side of it is, just in terms of referring to asset types, we're saying to our suppliers, when you put we put the contracts together, refer to the asset types, put the information back in terms of cost and carbon to us under those asset types. So when we're collating it in a structured way, we can understand for each asset, whether it's to do with a drawing or a specification, it's all coming under one clear heading. So it's about clear data and being able to use it wisely. The other thing that we're doing in terms of flood and process management and our asset management and open data is actually making our carbon calculator available for others to use. So we are actively promoting that outside of the Environment Agency. So if you're from a risk management authority or you're involved in flood and coast risk management work, it's available to use. We're available to try and support that as well. And we've got a few avenues where it's already been picked up externally from the agency.